Thank you. I am one of a number of people in this organization who had the privilege of working with Gary for a number of years. But I didn't just work with Gary. Gary was one of my mentors. He was somebody who, like anybody else who knows Gary or has for a number of years, talked to him regularly. He made an impact on my life. His work in distribution with other chemical companies and with BASF gave him a really unique perspective on our business, a perspective that many of you in this room share. Your past experiences give you some ability to know some things that others don't necessarily have the opportunity to know. And I would encourage you to make sure that you share those experiences, leverage those experiences, help them use those experiences to make you a better rep. That's what Gary did. So tonight what I'm going to do, there's a number of people in the room here who clearly have excellent relationships with Gary. Tonight was intended to be an event where Margaret, his widow, was going to be here to present this award. They lived in Vero Beach. As Irma came through Florida, it did a decent amount of damage to their home. While Irma was coming up Florida, Margaret was out of town helping her daughter Jennifer and son-in-law Chris and their grandkids transition back from their home in South Africa where they had been living back to the United States and Washington, D.C. So you can imagine how hard it was for her to make the transition, trying to get back from Africa, helping family, and also try to get back down to Florida where she's at right now to check on her home, which has received some damage. Dan Watts was supposed to be standing here right now introducing Margaret. And so I have some comments from both Dan and from Margaret that I'd like to share with you that do a lot of justice to who Gary was, the impact that he's had on them, and then also to be able to introduce the recipient of the first annual Gary Gibson Impact Award. So if you bear with me, I'm going to shuffle through some notes here and start by sharing some comments that Dan Watts shared. Good evening, and I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. For those of you that don't know, Dan also lives in Florida and is back in his neighborhood, helping some of his neighbors take care of some of the damage that their home sustained. I've been looking forward to spending some time tonight introducing Gary to those of you that didn't know him or know him very well. I was also looking forward to sharing stories in the hospitality suite, which we planned on having, with those of you that loved and respected Gary. We plan to do these activities next year. The pictures that are transitioning behind you, or behind me right now, provide a glimpse of Gary's personal story. Gary was a gregarious and fun-loving father, grandfather, husband, father, and friend. He was always ready with a humorous anecdote, and for those of us that knew Gary at any period of time, we're blessed to hear some of those anecdotes more than once. He was a talented photographer and a storyteller. He was the guy that everybody centered around in a room. You just felt good being around him. He made you feel good. Again, in Dan's words, I was blessed and honored when Margaret asked me to speak at Gary's memorial service. It was difficult for me. It gave me time to step away from my daily activities just to think about Gary, to think about what Gary meant to me and the people he touched. It was during that reflection period that two traits kept surfacing: love and impact. Love is hard to describe, but we all know it when we see it. And I saw it around Gary every time that he was with his family, his team, and his customers. I think impact may be a bit easier to measure. It can be measured in who and how many people depended on Gary's input before making an important decision. The number of people searching Gary out for a little mentoring, the universal respect he enjoyed from his customers, competitors, and in the agricultural industry. Also within the community as a whole. Gary, for those of you that don't know, did a good bit of volunteer work. Gary took particular pride in mentoring the newer interns, PDPs, and BRs coming into the business. He may have even given some advice to a few marketers. Some of you are in the room and can relate to that. I'd like to thank Eric and the rest of the leadership team for creating the W. Gary Gibson Impact Award. I'm confident that the recipient of this award in the years to come will identify with our company's best. For me personally, and again, these are in Dan Watts' words, Gary was my first call on Monday morning, generally around 7 a.m. and many times my last call on Friday evening at the end of business. You see, Gary wanted to make sure that I knew what needed to be accomplished during the week ahead, and he had no problem letting me know what I'd let slip through the cracks after the weekend concluded. Dan remarks that he misses those calls terribly. I can make Chris go on for hours and hours reading stories about Gary, but since the most important person here tonight is waiting to take the stage, I'll end with some advice that I received a while ago when I was learning to be a manager. The advice that I got from this person told me that, if ever possible, try to meet the salesperson's spouse that you are attempting to hire. The quality of their spouse is often directly proportional to how good of a sales rep they actually are. It's amazing over the years how true and accurate those observations have been. And with that in mind, this was the time when Dan would have introduced Margaret to come up and make a few remarks about Gary and the award recipient. So I have some words that Margaret put together that I'd like to share with you now. Margaret writes, if you think Gary had an impact on your lives, you can only imagine, man, this is going to be tough for me, so bear with me, please. If you think Gary had an impact on your lives, you can only imagine the impact that he had on mine. Whatever he did, his standard was excellence. For those of you that knew Gary, can I get an amen? Amen. You knew Gary as a successful BASF senior salesman, but to me, he was Scott and Jennifer's amazing father. He was Chris, our son-in-law's second dad and father in love. The most fun and enchanting storytelling grandpa to our grandchildren, Haley, Carson, Jaden, Conrad, and Caitlin. He was my husband for over 45 years, truly a milestone. Her best friend, my biggest supporter, and the love of my life. You've heard a little bit from Tony and Dan that Gary was always performing at a high level, but was known amongst his peers for keeping his sights on the needs of others. Above all else, Gary was always looking to earn the respect of his customers and his peers, and to do so, he always wanted to be somebody you could count on, especially when you needed advice. I've been told that the first ever winner of the Garry Gibson Award exemplifies many of these qualities. And again, these are Margaret's words. I'm pleased to be able to announce that this year's winner is a 17-year veteran of BASF, who I'm told has set a very high standard for himself and the team he's been a part of throughout his career. During his 17 years, this person has exceeded his territory budget 16 times. What an accomplishment. He approaches each year by setting his own personal goals, which usually results in him significantly exceeding the expectations that others have for him. He's clearly a high performer, but the approach he takes to his work and those around him is what he is really being recognized for tonight. This person is always forward-thinking in how he approaches his work and acts as a great model for his peers who strive to build a similar track record. The 2017 winner has been a voice of and a sounding board for his fellow business reps, customers, the management team, and marketing. His positive attitude and approach has always been welcomed by his peers. Whether you have a problem that you need his help to solve, or you just need a good laugh from one of his many experiences, he always seems to deliver. This individual has made an art out of simplifying strategies and tactics to open doors and create opportunities, clearly something we should all strive for. His customer-first approach has earned him respect both within and outside of the company. Over the past few years, this individual has also been instrumental in helping his district manager build a very high-performing team. The team experienced a major transformation when half of the business reps changed over an 18-month period. He's taken great pride in not only delivering on his sales results during this time, but has also actively mentored the newer reps and helped them get off to a fast start. Something Gary certainly would have done. He looks at mentoring as a way to better himself while helping others. He acknowledges that mentoring is a two-way street, and that he benefits as much, if not more, from these interactions than the person he is mentoring. The ideas and strategies that are developed in those discussions he has used to help his teammates build toward that high-performing team in 2017. If you were to ask any of these teammates, his fellow business reps, innovation specialists, tech service reps in that geography, They would be the first to acknowledge the countless hours of consultation he has with his peers and other members of the organization. He understands the power of teamwork. The countless hours that this individual spends on the phone with teammates and peers makes many wonder how he has any time left to deliver his own results. Again, this actually sounds a lot like Garry Gibson. Margaret says, thank you for honoring Garry's hard work and his passion for excellence by establishing the annual Garry Gibson Impact Award. My family and I are deeply moved. I think everyone would agree that the person I'm describing exemplifies the quality that we remember in Garry. Margaret writes that Garry used to use the following words as guides in his approach to business: impact, touch, influence, inspire, and engage. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to the stage and to congratulate the inaugural winner of the Garry Gibson Impact Award from District 101, Mr. Jared Chastain.
This is really not fair because I don't have 40 years of service and didn't have a chance to prepare a speech or any comedic comments, but I did have the privilege of meeting Garry. I guess it goes back to, when was the first talking? 08, I believe. So got to meet Garry back, we were in Washington, D.C. Got to meet Margaret, and actually Margaret, my wife, and Marcus's wife, Judah, was all at the spa at the same time, so we had to go pick the girls up to go out that evening because they did not want to leave. And, you know, it is kind of ironic. You know I can be a little brash every once in a while, and Garry, over the time, it was so funny because you just brought up, let's stay in touch. You know what I mean? And really up until that time, even though I've been with BASF, 10 years at the time, I really had not got a chance to know Garry. And before we left the Top Gun event, Garry's like, hey, let's stay in touch. Monday morning, 7 o'clock, I'm still trying to sleep in because we've been gone all weekend. Guess who called? Some weird area code that I figure is either a telemarketer, somebody from HR because I did something wrong. I'm trying to figure out whether it's a New Jersey area code. So I answer it kind of a little sheepishly, and hey, this is Garry, what's going on in Indiana this morning? So, anybody that knew Garry, you know how he could put a smile on everybody's face, and kind of stayed in touch with him over the years. So this is indeed, one of the biggest honors I've had since I've been with BASF, to be surrounded by everybody. I mean, I've been in a lot of different places and worked with a lot of different individuals that are out here, and as you guys are the ones that complete me, and it is truly a team effort, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you and congratulations